Okay, so it's been 7 months since I picked up the PlayStation 5. I just wanted to take a moment here to discuss kind of some pros and cons of owning the system, and I guess kind of a progress report of how it's been going and I guess my experience with it. First and foremost, I want to talk about the performance and I guess the reliability. For sure, I haven't had any problem with my unit. Everything's been going fine. Haven't had it, do any weird shutoffs or anything like that. On launch week, when I picked it up, there were some moments when Demon Souls would crash, but that was pretty much everybody else was having that same issue as well. After that, I think they issued a patch for that within the first couple weeks or so. It seemed like that pretty much resolved the problem. I haven't had a problem ever since then as far as that goes. And as far as with like the performance of the console, I mean, it's more than exceeded my expectations as far as playability of the games and that kind of thing. I mean, there's been so many games I put in here from the PlayStation 4 that have greatly lifted up the performance of the title. Games like Dark Souls 3, games like Sekiro, and other games like that caliber where there wasn't necessarily a patch that was made, but it's just the sheer power of the console was able to take the games and lift them up to a higher level than what I was getting on like the PlayStation 4 Pro, which is what I also have and what I was playing those games on previously. The biggest difference I saw as far as that goes, just by sheer performance, was with Dark Souls 3. I was running actually two simultaneous games, one on the PlayStation 4 and one on the PlayStation 5, and when I go to the PlayStation 4, it was so sluggish, and when I came back to the PlayStation 5, it's just running buttery smooth, 60 frames per second. I mean, it was just beautiful. So as far as the performance with situations like that, I definitely give a thumbs up when it comes to that. What I really want to discuss, though, for just a second, is the DualSense. This is by far the best controller that I've ever used as far as the ergonomics and the haptics and all that. It just fits so nicely in the hand, and the buttons are at the perfect placing and that kind of thing. It just kind of melts right into my hand. And as far as the haptic feedback goes, when it comes to rumble and that kind of thing, I usually just turn that off on most games because it's annoyance to me. It's intrusive and it's annoying. But as far as PlayStation 5, the haptic feedback is actually really cool the way it works. Like with returnal, how you can feel the rain pelting in the controller, or with Demon Souls, how whenever you walk into a box or walk over a box, you can kind of feel the wood cracking underneath your feet. And that's something you can't get on the Xbox Series X, and it's something you can't get on the PlayStation 4 Pro. It's something you can't get on the Switch. It's just something that's strictly set aside just for the PlayStation 5. Now, as far as the cons go, the only complaint that I really have on the DualSense is this sucker eats battery life like nobody's business. I mean, seriously, like I can charge it and within like 4 hours it's already dead and gasping for breath. And I know that that's kind of how the DualShock 4 was as well. And I really wish that they would up the life, like all the lights and all that garbage. We don't need any of that stuff. But I wanted to take a look at the menu and kind of discuss that as well. As far as the menu screen, I think that this is definitely a step up from the PlayStation 4, because with me, as soon as I boot it up, it's immediately on the game's menu. And so I can just come over here and choose a game, boot it up, and we're already playing. And as far as with the PlayStation 4 goes, there's a lot more nonsense I have to sift through and that kind of thing. And I also like the fact that they put the media on its own separate tab that you have to actually click on. So it's not just a highlight, you actually click on it. So as far as that goes, I don't stream anything on my game systems. I don't watch anything on my game systems. So to segregate and put all that nonsense in its own separate pool, to me is definitely a benefit, because this is a whole entire section of just garbage that I won't ever have to look at or ever have to interact with. And so I kind of like that. So they, of course, have all the games, in this banner that you're recent. And you can come over here and click on your library and see, all the games that you have set up and that kind of thing. And games that you can install and whatnot. And then it also shows the games that are actually installed on your system that you can mess around with. And also, whenever you hit the PlayStation button, it takes you up to the sub menu to where you can go and to your switcher and you can switch games and you can look at your notifications and look at what's been installed, what's been updated, friends lists, and all that kind of stuff. Now, as far as complaints on the menu and navigation, honestly, I don't really have any complaints on the menu or navigation. I felt like that everything was very well funneled down from what they had on the PlayStation 4, so I think everything works really nicely as far as that goes. So I wanted to take a moment here and talk about the games real quick. So dang near the whole reason I got a PlayStation 5 was just so I could play Demon's Souls on launch day and experience it brand new with the rest of the PlayStation 5 launch crew. And by far, that it was such a great experience to be able to go in fresh with everybody else before, you know, all the messages and everything was all over the place, to where I can go in with a clean slate. It was really cool. And as far as the game itself, I just felt like the graphics were just mind-blowing. I was like, holy cow, this is the next generation graphics. And the DualSense, you know, as soon as you walk in and you're walking around the DualSense, immediately I knew that, holy cow, we're at another level as far as this goes. For those who haven't played Demon's Souls, I highly, highly recommend it to give it a try. It's definitely, probably, in my money, for right now, the standout game that's on the PlayStation 5. We also got Returnal. I picked that up here a while back. Also, Returnal, another PlayStation 5 exclusive, a game that you can only experience on the PlayStation 5. I feel like, again, as far as the graphics and as far as the mood and the setting, I felt like it was definitely something. It was a step up above everything else that I've experienced thus far. I've never really played a roguelike game before, so I wasn't really sure what to expect going in. And to tell you the truth, after playing it for a while, the game itself, I wasn't so much impressed with the actual gameplay and the play style itself. The environment is amazing. The enemies are amazing. The sound design is incredible. The graphics are fantastic. But it's just a genre. I just wasn't too impressed with the genre. When you die, you lose everything. You got to start over. I've moved past 16-bit games. I don't have to go back and do that nonsense anymore. We have save features now. And the fact that this doesn't have save, it really, really kills it for me. But other than that, everything else about the game I thought was cool. So, yeah, if you have a hankering for some 16-bit style of permadeath-like games, then I guess give this a try. And then the other title I picked up on launch day was Spider-Man Miles Morales. As far as this game goes, it definitely delivers in spades as far as the graphics, with the reflections and the dynamic range and all the bells and whistles as far as that goes. They definitely really milked the PlayStation 5 for all of its current potential as far as with Spider-Man. Now, I'm sure that there's more potential that we can reach later on, but as far as the current potential that we've tapped, Spider-Man Miles Morales is definitely a showstopper. Now, I did go ahead and pick up the Ultimate Launch Edition so I can get the remastered Spider-Man included. Much to my disappointment, there's no additional disc on the inside. The remastered version is simply a download code. I was highly perturbed by that. I'm just not a fan at all of downloads or download codes. Yeah, that's a big L on Sony's part for that. This should have been a 2-disc set.
Not installed yet. You're talking about shipments.
Super weird. Hey, I did that grocery shopping your mom wanted, but she's wondering where you are. Dinner's almost ready.
Crap. Okay, I'll try to wrap this up. Thank you. man.
Moving the new form into the plaza. Find out how.
Can't fight us without the real! Take him out before he gets any further! You'll pay for the gang up on him!
We also have Destruction All-Stars, which initially was supposed to be a retail release. It was initially set for launch, and then it got pushed back to December. And then it finally came out in like February, I think, and it came out as a digital-only game. And it came out as a free download for all PlayStation Plus subscribers who have a PlayStation 5. So I don't know if they saw that, oh man, this is going to have a pretty crummy install base, so we're just going to make it for free just to whatever. So to do a recording for this video, I ran through a quick game, and I noticed there was only like 5 or 6 people in the lobby whenever I got matched. So yeah, it definitely looks like the player base for this particular title is already pretty much dwindling, because I remember when it first came out, I was regularly hitting, you know, max capacity lobbies, just one after the other. I haven't played in a few months, and so when I came back the other day to do this recording, I was like, holy cow, there's like nobody in here. But I did notice that they added a offline story mode as well for a recent patch. I haven't even checked that out, so I'm really anxious to see how that works and what that looks like. But this definitely is a different type of game. It's your typical car combat game, but there's also pedestrian combat, if you will. I mean, you can pull a Grand Theft Auto and steal somebody's car, and you can also grab onto their car and do a bunch of maneuvers and cause them to crash. Fortunately, I wasn't able to do any of that in the recording, but all in all, it's a pretty cool game if you're into car carnage. It reminded me somewhat of Twisted Metal, because it's not just simply just crash and bash like Wreckfest or Destruction Derby or something like that. You don't have projectiles, but you can basically turn your vehicle into a projectile by doing speed boost and that kind of thing, which is a little bit different than what the typical Demolition Derby games offer. So I thought that was pretty cool. All in all, the game is pretty cool to at least check it out for the story mode. I don't think it's still free. I think they finally put a price tag on it, but oh well.
Heck of a wreck right there, folks.
Lupita's breaker's been ready for a while. What's she up to?
The last game I wanted to touch on was Immortals Fenyx Rising. So this is a PlayStation 4 game that got a PlayStation 5 upgrade for free. Some PlayStation 4 games offer free PlayStation 5 upgrades. Other PlayStation 4 games offer upgrades for a cost, like Tony Hawk. And other PlayStation 4 games are sold separately from the PlayStation 5 game, kind of like Miles Morales. You can either get the PlayStation 4 version or the PlayStation 5 version. But with this particular one, it was kind of like how the Xbox works, whereas if you stick it in a PlayStation 5, it automatically starts downloading a PlayStation 5 patch. Really, the only difference that you notice as far as playing is on the PlayStation 4, it's locked at 30 frames. The PlayStation 5 gives you a performance mode to where you can get 60 frames. From my eyes, that was the only difference I could tell, because I put it in my PlayStation 4 Pro and I was doing some comparisons. And really, that was the only difference I could see, is 60 frames. Graphically, it looked identical. I know that it says on the PlayStation 5 it's 4K, but to my eyes, it was just so minuscule as far as the resolution jump. I just didn't notice anything. But the 60 frames was definitely much more of a noticeable upgrade than the graphics or the resolution. For those of you who don't know, Immortals Fenyx Rising is basically Ubisoft's love letter to Zelda Breath of the Wild. Daniel has almost identically the same combat elements and gameplay elements and that kind of thing. So if you really like Breath of the Wild, go ahead and check out Immortals Fenyx Rising. So my final thoughts right now. Honestly, we only have 3 games on the PlayStation 5. We have Demon's Souls, we have Returnal, and we have Ratchet & Clank. And I haven't even gotten Ratchet & Clank because I've never even played a Ratchet & Clank game before. And so I'm like, I don't know if I can justify spending $70 on a game from a franchise I've never played before. And that to me is my biggest complaint, is the fact that now we have a PlayStation 5. Now they're expecting us to pony up $70 for these games. And furthermore, as I said, as far as exclusives go, there's only 3 games. 4 if you count Destruction All-Stars, which is digital only. So technically there's only 4 games on the whole console that you can play, that you're even taking advantage of the console by playing. Everything else you can play on PlayStation 4 Pro at 4K checkerboard graphics, and sometimes 30, sometimes 45 frames a second. I don't know if there's many games that offer 60 frames on the PlayStation 4 Pro. I can't quite remember. I don't know. It's kind of hard for me to tell somebody to, yeah, definitely go out and get a PlayStation 5. If you're there and they have one and you got the money, I mean, sure, go ahead and pick it up. But I definitely wouldn't recommend buying one on eBay at a scalper price. I also definitely wouldn't recommend camping out at, you know, a Best Buy for 3 days when you hear about a shipment coming. It just doesn't make any sense. To me, there's just not enough games to warrant going out and getting it for 4 games. And then a slew load of other PlayStation 4 games that offer either a 30 frame improvement in gameplay or offer a half K of graphics improvement. It just, I don't know, it just doesn't make any sense to go with that. But all in all, in conclusion, I would say that so far I've been happy with the PlayStation 5. So I can't knock it. I can't really, you know, say much bad about the performance or about the console or the experience I've had. I just wish there was more games, that's all. But I guess that's all I'm going to say for that today. I just want to make a quick video and talk about the PlayStation 5 and talk about what I felt and what I've experienced. So thanks for watching and peace out.